Righty, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by another repost by Narushio. And the context of this repost is regarding an interview that was held with Kuro Games CEO Solon Lee about the future of his gacha games. And while from the first title over here, you might be under the assumption that this is going to be focused on PGR, I think that there is at least one quick nugget of wisdom that we can sort of derive from this, a bit of a discussion that we can have based off of one of the conversational lines that actually popped up. And so if I just go ahead and I look up the term curious over here, we'll be able to get a bit of insight for Kuro's point of view on longevity, on content droughts, which Wuthering Waves is currently in one of the biggest content droughts in the history of the game, by the way. So why not go ahead and see what the CEO's thoughts are on, well, the low times in their games. Starting from here. Curious, I asked him, PGR has been running for 6 years. How can player engagement still fluctuate so dramatically? Instead of answering directly, Solon Lee shared a recent player comment that stuck with him. I played PGR for 6 years, quit 6 times, but came back after seeing the 6th anniversary event. And that's the context. This is where the real thoughts begin. In Solon's eyes, that player's comment can be interpreted in 2 ways: as regret, the player quit 6 times, or as a compliment. The game's quality was good enough to bring them back 6 times. Whether players choose to play or not should always be their own decision, one made freely, without any sense of being forced. What the Punishing Gray Raven team needs to do is create an environment where players can make that choice comfortably and willingly. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same mindset that they have for Wuthering Waves, because listen to what they say next. With that mindset, the PGR team began to understand many things. For example, complaints like, the game's content droughts are too long. Remember, we've been on one for 3 months. Had existed for years. During the first 3 years of the project, Solon Lee often worried about the fact that the team would spend months creating high-quality content that players could finish in just a day or two, sometimes even within a few hours. Sounds like some of the events that we've had in Wuthering Waves. To address that, the team once tried splitting content into multiple weekly updates so that players would have something new to do each week. But over time, they realized this approach only treated the symptom, not the cause. And eventually, Solon came to understand something fundamental. The true charm of Punishing Gray Raven as a game with strong single-player experience comes precisely from those one-time, unforgettable moments of content. And this is where I'm beginning to see a lot of the parallels that have gone on with Wuthering Waves. But I'm beginning to see that there's a big issue with this mindset, because Punishing Gray Raven, ladies and gentlemen, is without a doubt a niche game. And Kuro seems like they're taking the niche game mindset and applying it to their game that has gone mainstream. And we'll talk about what the negative implications of that are in just a second. Let's keep reading. When it comes to keeping players online for long periods of time, Solon no longer feels the need to obsess over it. In such a competitive environment, players will only invest time if they truly feel it's worth it. We're 11 days into November, by the way. These are November statistics. So, players don't want to view the game. Streamers don't want to stream the game. Nobody wants to do anything with the game currently. Because, in Solon's own words, this is a competitive environment that we're currently in. And players are not investing time into Wuthering Waves because they do not feel like it is worth it. And this is following the update where they released one of the most banger story quests in the history of the game. They were really leaning in on this idea that the one-time, unforgettable moment of content was going to be enough to carry the game forward. This is what occurred. We had an amazing burst of content when Wuthering Waves 2.7 dropped, and let me just go ahead and see if I can go into like my fucking memory travel log over here. Where is it? Like where's where's that feature that just like lets you see all the past story? Is it in like the gallery? Oh, here we go, right? Oh, here we go, right? We just like went through one of the most amazing arcs in gacha history, right? Like looking through Dawn Breaks on Dark Tides, that entire chapter, right? 7-hour experience, fantastic. Then it followed up with absolutely no actual content in the update, aside from a mini game that pretty much the entire community recognizes is like boring as fuck because it's so goddamn easy and it just takes up time in the day. And alongside that, you just have login events or parkour events that you can AFK. That was the entire update. And you want to know what the end result of this? You had amazing hype at the start of the version, but then that hype fizzled out completely. Then you had the second half of the patch drop. And do you want to know what the statistics are on the second half of the patch and the story that they had for Chu Yan? Let me just show y'all. You see this video by Ajek, 4.9k views on her Chu Yan 2.7 after story reaction. Her main story one did a lot better. You want to look at some other CCs? You got good old Bran Online over here with a whopping 16k on his story reaction.
What's going on, boys and girls?
Damn, he looked a lot different back then. Let's just look up 2.7 on his channel over here. 16k to 90. 90k down to 16. Even got Legions Gaming. A nice 6.3k on his Chu Yan story. And then on the actual react to the 2.7, the Avengers Assemble arc, he got 36. Nobody gives a flying fuck about this Chu Yan after story because the hype of the game has crumbled because there was nothing to do in it following the quest, because you intentionally made an update where there was nothing to do in it. It only had that one shining moment, right? The amazing story. But that's 7 hours. There's 24 hours in the day, and there's 21 days in the half of a patch. You take 21 times 24. That's 504 hours. You take 7 divided by 504. You want to know what you get? 1.3%. The story, if you played the entire thing, would take up 1.3% of the total number of hours that's in a 21-day patch. There you go. That's the fucking math. Is it really that surprising at all that there's absolutely no fucking engagement for this quest? When players, their login loop has been go in, spend 240 wayplates, and then log off. They've been engaging with the game for 2 to 3 minutes for 20 whole days straight. Who is going to be excited for this? Nobody. Who's excited for Chu Yan? Nobody. And to see something where the devs are essentially taking, and you can see it firsthand, they're literally taking the mindset of Punishing Grey Raven, a game that makes a fraction of the money that Wuthering Waves makes, a game that has a fraction of the viewership, and it has a fraction of the engagement on all social media platforms, all of that. They're using the learnings and how to acquire customers in that game and applying it to Wuwa. And you can't tell me that this isn't the focus of Wuthering Waves in 2.7 and honestly 2.6 and 2.5 when you consider the fact that the last time we had any meaningful content in the form of an event was version 2.4, where they had Virtual Crisis and Banners Never Fall, and it's been a complete drought of just random nonsense minigames ever since. These exact ones over here. Phantasma Dreamland, Title Defense fucking Simulator. And then, of course, now we're getting the amazing Solaris Soldier Recon to really cap out the triple trifecta of shit that we've gotten in this game. And in such a competitive environment, players only invest time if they truly feel like it's worth it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is why this game is currently at the lowest playership it's ever seen in its history on Steam. The lowest engagement it's ever had in the history of the game since its launch on Steam over 6 months ago. You can see it right here. Those are the lowest fucking numbers. And honestly, this was the release of Chu Yan. Over here, guys, this was the release of Chu Yan. The peak of Chu Yan is lower than the dead part of other patches. This was like 2 weeks into 2.4. And it has a higher player engagement than the peak of Chu Yan. Guys, this, to me, is incredibly concerning. That we're taking the mindset of what makes a niche game work, what makes a niche game with a niche community jive, and then we're applying that to a game that has literally hundreds of thousands more players. And the end result is that this game is not living up close to the potential that everyone thought that it had. There's a lot of people that are excusing this content drought right now, and I'll just go ahead, I'll just play the clip of somebody who's kind of been on the front lines defending this content drought, right? We're gonna have to call out Fob Master a little bit. We're not gonna do too much though, but I just want to address this take over here.
I haven't watched Smack's video, so I don't know, right? But I'm just talking about like what I've seen in like the years I've been in the gacha space. It's literally like this. Every gacha game we play has major patch, and then dead.
Excuse the drawing work that he does over here. It's fucking terrible, but you'll get the point.
Dead. Major patch, and then this like repeats, right? This repeats, but every time everybody's like, best game ever! Woo! This shit sucks. It's dead. EOS, never coming back. Wait, best game ever. And then they repeat the cycle, the fan base, over and over.
This is the truth of the matter. This is true for a majority of gacha games, but it's something that Wuthering Waves has never actually experienced before. Think about Wuwa's dead patches. You had 1.2 where we got a free 5-star character, so nobody gave a shit, and then no dead patches until 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7. That's been the history of the release cycle in the game. And you have some people that will try to insist that 2.1 was a dead patch. So we'll call out some of those dummies as well. You'll have some people that are trying to tell you, right, 2.1 was a dead patch. Co-op Overdash, Tactical Simulacra 3, Infinite Battle Simulation 2, Beyond the Waves, Fantasies 1,000 Gateways, plus Whimpering Ways, as well as the fishing event, and the Phoebe story in the vault with Zani. You're calling this a dead patch? Wait, you're calling this one a dead patch? Wait, are we on crack? This one had amazing events. Oh, and this was also the time where they added in Echo loadouts. All that shit too. Guys, what are we even saying here? With 2.1 being a dead patch. 2.1 was fine. 2.1 was fine. And had so much more content than 2.7, it's insane. What about 2.2? Amazing story patch as well with Cartithia. What about 2.3? Had a good amount of content. Actually a ton of game modes. People just didn't like the anniversary rewards. And then 2.4 is amazing too. And then 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7. Literally, the only thing that we have in the patch is Phantasma Dreamland, then Title Defense Simulator, and then Lament Recon, and then a bunch of other minigames. Guys, that's the fall off that the game has experienced starting from 2.4. And it's been a very recent thing. And it's been 3 months, not 3 months. It's been 5 months in a row of this. 5 months in a row of no combat, no content, just mini games and endgame resets. Mini games and fucking endgame resets. And unfortunately, they went with the mindset of, let's just make the story really good. Let's just make the story really good, get those one-time unforgettable moments of content, and then we'll just say fuck it from there. I really think that 2.4 was a blessing and a curse. That's what I'm beginning to realize now. I think that they got a lot of success from Wuwa 2.4, which released on June 9th. Saw how much people love, like, the story and all of that. And it seems like they've clearly just been dialing back to every single degree ever since. Everything is just getting dialed back. And then to see this interview come out after we've been in the most unjustified and the most out-of-nowhere content droughts that Wuthering Waves has ever had, I'm just going to be honest, this feels really tone-deaf. And it's really concerning. And the fact of the matter is that this doesn't really spell a lot of hope for the future, because this just means that they're going to do something like this again. And that it's okay as long as we have our aura farming moments, as long as we have our 5-hour aura farm every 42 days. Or really, 30 minutes of aura farming every 42 days. And then there's nothing else in the update for you to enjoy as a player. I don't understand this. I don't understand this niche game mindset flowing into a mainstream game and then proceeding to butcher every single bit of analytics, every single bit of viewership. We're killing. Guys, do we not understand the impact of this right here? A CC that's normally getting 50 to 60 to 70k views on story reactions. They react to this story and get a fucking a seventh, an eighth of the views they actually get. This is a job for people. Their views are the job. And if a game doesn't provide the views that it used to, because the devs are mishandling it, they're going to stop making content on the game as well. And this is self-inflicted. It didn't have to be like this. But it's literally what these devs want to do. And so, I guess the realization for me on this matter is that, unfortunately, it seems like the better that Wuthering Waves does, the worse the game is going to become. And unless there's like a clear shift that's going to occur soon, it seems like they're just okay with this one little spark and then a bunch of nothing afterwards. And this mindset that they're taking from PGR, it needs to be eliminated immediately. Because why the fuck are we using PGR as this sort of like lever or this sort of like model to reflect off of when the game literally is like not popular? How do you take the mindsets and the learnings of how to grow that game and then apply it to one that's entirely a different audience? But hey, at least one thing for certain is that Wuthering Waves and PGR do look like, at this present moment, they're on the same track. Let me just show you all what PGR looks like on this website. Let me just show you what PGR looks like over here. Why are you using this? Why are you using this as a baseline? Why are you using this as a benchmark? Why are you using this game as a model for the future? What the fuck? Are you guys fucking serious? What the fuck? I don't understand this. I don't understand this one bit. And you can't tell me that this isn't what Kuro's doing when the story has been the only fucking thing. The story has been the only fucking thing to do in this game for the past 5 months. That's it. There's nothing else. They're doing this in Wuwa. And I just don't think it's the right thing to do. But yeah. This, to me, has explained everything that's gone on over the past 5 months. This, to me, has clearly put into focus what's making this game worse. And, ironically enough, the game that funded Wuthering Waves, right? The game whose success allowed Kuro Games to make Wuwa. PGR is killing Wuthering Waves. And the sooner they move past this phase, god damn, I guess the better the game is going to be. But if this is the mindset that they're using, it's a little bit fucking cooked, man. So yeah, that'll be that for this one. I've just gotten I've been having a bunch of realizations the more and more I've been reading this. And yeah, I think this came out at the wrong time. Maybe this should have came out after Wuthering Waves 3.0. Yeah, this is rough.